All right, everybody, welcome to the fourth episode of Cash and Sport with myself and Sanani. We're talking Olympics talk, and today we have a really special guest, Coach TP, Coach Polo, Tsoanelo Pholo. She's
TP
Olympian,
on the streets.
the coolest coach out there. And we're going to be talking hockey today. What does it look like for us going to the Olympics? Preparedness, potential. What are we looking like in terms of our pools? Can we maybe get out? Can we get victories? And generally what Tsoanelo's up to right now in terms of, she's been an athlete and now a coach. So yeah, Sans, take it away. Let's go and see what TP's about.
I'm quite excited about this one. Speaking to someone I've known for a good couple of years. I think 15 TV, if I'm not mistaken, back end of 2004. Probably around about,
Probably around that time.
Played with you. A lot of my 112 national caps are with Tsoanelo. And some of my best provincial moments are also with TP.
Okay.
One were on the other side. I was up in Northerns and she was a Southerns, and we met them in the semi-final all the time. And here we are trying to make a final. And each time it was just like, come up against her, don't get to the final.
Oh, wow.
But eventually I had to come across the XK and play with her. TP, the resume is long. I could go through it in terms of there's Athens in there, there's indoor World Cup, there's outdoor World Cup, there's Abuja 2003. What are the highlights of some of your career?
Oh, well, I think the one that trumps all of them is the goal I scored at the 2004 Athens Olympic Games. And what makes that more special than just being an Olympic goal is that was a centenary of the Olympic Games. So they took it back home to Greece and to Athens, and the reception of the Olympic Games there was absolutely unbelievable. So, we talk about your Olympic experience and take that, times it by 150, and then you are still very far short of what we went through at those Olympic Games. So that's one moment that really stands out. And obviously getting that call that I'm going to be part of Team SA, going to the Olympic Games, that was special. The Indoor Hockey World Cup was probably the funnest I've had in green and gold. And not just off the field. It was because we were there representing our country in a sport that wasn't as recognized as the outdoor format of the game. And it was something special for us. I think we might have been the first group to go to the World Cup. So it was really, really special. And, being in Vienna in the winter, oh my goodness, that was a culture shock for most South Africans. We talk about sunny South Africa and you get there and everything is iced, so that was really incredible. The Outdoor World Cup in Spain, I think their climate is very close to ours. And I still say Barcelona is one of the few countries in the world that I've been to that I would go stay in. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you touched on something there that I want to actually go back to, because I was a youngster in that environment when it happened. I was not at the same camp, but I was just in the same vicinity. You don't get selected at first for the 2004 Olympic Games. You just miss out. And then an injury happens and you get that phone call. How do you control the emotions? One, Bronwyn is a friend to you. And two, now you had to stay focused and ready. And how was that whole process?
Well, the most difficult thing, was hearing 3 days before the actual announcement that someone had gotten injured, and I had to ask who. I knew it was a striker because I got the call, and when I heard who the player was, and this was not just a player in the national squad. This is a person I played with provincially in my club team. This is a person I would train with when we had free time. So it was a very difficult moment because I couldn't navigate around my own emotions. I was devastated for her. And I remember saying this to our manager, Jo Molly Jepson, when she called me, and I said, oh no, it's fine. Bron will be fine. And she told me that she'd have to see a couple of specialists and they'd have to meet in a massive room. I always imagine this dark room that they'd have to meet and talk about, will she be ready for the first game at the Olympics? And that was the decision that they made, that they don't see her being ready for that first game. And when I got that call, promise you, it was, I was sleeping, I got the call, and yeah, it's something that I'll never forget. I remember saying, oh, okay, cool. I knew she'd be fine. Good luck, guys. She's like, Polo, you're going to Athens. Congratulations. You're part of Team South Africa going to the Athens Olympic Games. And I was like, okay, what now? And obviously showed me the protocol, immediately called my mom. I was like, yeah, you have to come pick me up now. And my mom was on standby, and she was the first call I'd made the 3 days before when I'd heard the news. And my mom said, what'll be will be. It's out of anyone's control right now, and definitely not in your hands. So just you prepare yourself mentally for whatever might come.
Oh, wow. What a story. Jeez. And then you go on to the Olympic Games and then you score. I mean, come on. You can't even write a story like that, written off kind of. And then someone gets injured, all the emotions of crying and knowing this person. And then you have to go on and actually score in a centenary Olympics. That's just amazing. That's a crazy story.
Yeah, it was such a roller coaster of emotions. Like I said earlier, you go from quite a low because you hear that a team member might be on a way to hearing terrible news. And then you know that those terrible news might be life-changing news for you. And I knew that being part of Team SA, especially that year, would be a life-changing experience. And it definitely was. There's no Coach Pholo without the Athens Olympics. There's no Coach Pholo without the things I went through as a player in that era. How I found out that I wasn't actually going in the beginning. There was so many things that have built my character. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, I don't understand how tough I can be.
Mm. But that probably makes you a better coach now as well. That understanding of athletes and temperament and emotions, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the question I always ask. I think my second outing with the FIH Educating Online, we had an athletes to coach course where right now some of the top athletes that are probably most of them are in Olympic squads for this year. And the first question I asked them was, does being an international player make you a good coach? And every single one said no. But I know that I can go back to moments in my playing days and I can be either a little harder on players because I've been there. Your body tells you can't, but I know you can. And sometimes I feel like I have a better rapport with my players because I can literally say, I've been in your shoes. And it's not something you see very often in like sports like football, where you've got really like technically sound and well-minded coaches who have never played at the highest level, but they can still execute. But I think, again, that's a hockey nerd talk about how to get players to that level that you don't need a technical coach, you need a tactical coach.
For sure. Okay, before we throw it forwards to the Tokyo in a couple of months' time, I want something we ask all our Olympians that come onto the show is that first memory of the Olympic Village, because it's different for everyone. Someone says the vending machine, someone says the dining room. What was your first wow moment?
I think the concreting moment in that I belong, this is special, this is massive, was seeing someone that I looked up to as an athlete, Marion Jones, walking onto the bus on our way to breakfast, and the bus was kind of full, and she comes and stands next to me and literally holds the pole. And I don't know why, but in my mind, I'm like, I should be getting up for her, right? And then, of course, I didn't. And I was like, she's here like I'm here. And these people that you've been watching on the international stage for years are here with you as your equal and not someone to look up to. That's a memory that I'll never forget, Tsoanelo. That's something that, it was just, and it's a memory that is for me, in me. It's not something like, oh, Mary Joseph on the bus. But what that moment meant was like, should I get up? No, don't get up. We equals here.
We all here for the same thing.
For the same thing. And yeah, that moment was special. obviously you see other people that you've watched at other Olympic Games, people that are on their third Olympic Games, and it's your first, and you're like, my goodness, I'm here with you. And again, we're here for the same damn thing.
Yeah.
So that was one moment that I carry I've carried since then. I don't want to give away my age telling you how long.
Yeah, for me, that's a crazy one because I remember watching Marion Jones run, and man, I idolized that woman. I used to run, but anyway, I never made it to the highest level. But I idolized Marion Jones, regardless of what happened later on in her career. So you've taken that experience and you've now pivoted, and you now coach polo. Passing knowledge onto the youths, and you've got a team that's done amazingly well. You were at the 2018 games. You won silver, if I'm not mistaken. You've also now taken the UJ team. Gold.
Sorry.
Get it right. The African champions.
Youth Olympic champions.
Yeah. And you've also got a successful UJ team as well that you're doing amazing things with. So take us through that experience and that pivot in your life and how that happened.
Being a coach has made me very selfish. I'm very selfish about the players I work with. I'm very selfish in how they learn. And by selfish, I mean I don't let anything that is not going to empower them come into our group.
Yeah.
And it makes you not liked by many people. There's a big match that was televised that I said my team is not going on because there was a lightning scare around the area, and I said I'd rather not play.
Yeah.
And this is televised, and I'm not putting my kids or my team out there. I understand where I am now in the team environment. And I keep telling my players that I'm just the glue that puts things together. Yes, you might see me as the head of the family, but I'm the glue that makes you guys do what you do. And it's tough. It's team before self, team before you, whoever you are. I don't care who you are. Team before my managers. I've been in trouble with a lot of my employers because I look after and I solely care about the players that I work with, and because I always wanted someone to be like that for me.
Yeah. But I actually like that because it takes us to a spin of what I want to ask you next about just how you managed a group of athletes like the UJ team through pandemic. Everything shut down. I'm sure the kids had to get home from res. Your whole program shut down. So, how did you manage that? And I take it to a scale of Olympics, guys who were, there was 4 or 5 months out of an Olympic Games, how they managed.
Well, it's for me, again, I was in a bit of trouble with my superiors because I said, I am not going to put hockey sticks in their hands. We are going through a global pandemic, and we need to look after the human before the athlete. So in terms of athlete management, I have a really good sports scientist at UJ, and I said, give them a program that they can do in any small or massive house. I don't want to be giving 8K runs, things that some can do and some can't.
Because not everyone's got a 4K loop around their house.
Exactly. And I heard the crazy story about a guy who ran the comrades in his up and down his passage, and I was like, I don't know how crazy you are to be able to do that. But I said, it's like all body weight stuff that you have to do, not needing zero equipment, just making sure that we check in with each other once a week. Nothing at all to do with hockey. It's the first time these girls or players have had to study online. Most of them are first years. I can't be putting hockey sticks in your hand when I don't know if you're living with 9 other people in your house during the hard lockdown. And not everyone wants to talk about their living situations.
For sure.
Right? So I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on players. And I said, listen, I'm a good enough coach to know that in a month, once you get back to Joburg, we'll be ready to play.
Yeah.
But what I need from you is that you are conditioned and you look after your body so that when we hit the ground running, and I don't have to have you running for 25 minutes on the field, because 25 minutes I need. But give me a month with you girls, I'll be fine. And we will be fine.
EQ, my friend. EQ. We had some coaches who had it,
Yeah.
some didn't.
Part of life, Tsoanelo. It's just not just in sport. And if you look at the human being before your occupation, you're already halfway through your deal.
Okay, 23rd of July, Tokyo Stadium.
Yeah.
And a couple of months' time. Has the pandemic, the top teams, has the gap just gotten wider, or does this give the underdogs a chance? I want to say underdogs a chance because everyone's had a year to rest, look at each other. But what do you think? I mean, you're closer to the ground, you're seeing this.
If we had the Olympic Games like late last year, like they were thinking about, I think, yes, the underdog would have had a chance because then that levels the playing field. Yeah. But right now, the Pro League is going on. So the top teams are still playing international hockey.
Yeah.
And I look at the South African women's team. I think their last international was in 2020 in about Jan or Feb sometime. The men, we've just had a series against Namibia. Nothing against Namibia, but that's a team ranked much lower than us on the world rankings, and we'd like to play against people ranked higher than us. So looking at what Pro League has done for the top teams, geez, like from the beginning to what they're looking at now, you can see that international competition does make a difference in your preparation. And the underdogs haven't been able to get that kind of competition. So I think, it's still the same. I was speaking to one of the national coaches last year, and I said, what is the pandemic doing for you? And he said, geez, I was actually ready. If they said after the first lockdown, we can play, I'd seen more of them than they'd seen of me. And I was happy to play then. But now the world has elongated the lockdown. So everyone is back to square one. And square one means the superior teams are still that much more superior.
Yeah. Wow. And I guess that speaks to, our next question, which looks at, okay, well, we're going. Men's hockey is, still looking for a sponsor. They're still pushing through Match Kit and all of that. And shout out to the team and all the efforts that they're trying to make to actually raise funds. But, either way, if we have two teams there, come the first match, looking at the pools that we have, and we are in some pretty tough pools. I mean, our men's team has Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Great Britain, Canada, South Africa, and then the women's team, Netherlands, Germany, Great Britain, Ireland, India. Those are some tough pools. If you look at the pools as they stand right now, what do you think our successes could come from? And just generally, which teams do you think will be at the top or roundabout in terms of semifinals, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals?
Well, firstly, I want to say that looking at both sides of the competition, there are no easy pools.
No, wow, it's Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's so stacked. It's crazy.
There are any easy pools, and for us qualifying, and particularly the men qualifying through Africa, is a little bit. It's not easy. Egypt have a really great program right now, and Egypt is like not even 2-hour flight away from Europe, and they've got a really good program. So that win at the Africa Championships was a big win for the men against Egypt. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but I always say hockey is a game of moments. It's how you manage yourself when you are not having the ball. And we know for a fact that we won't have as much ball as our opposition in most of the games. And it's how we manage ourselves when we don't have the ball. And more importantly, what can we do when we have it? Be it 10% of the ball or 50%. There's going to be that game where we are competing properly. What can we do? And we can look back. Our history is we don't score enough goals when we have opportunities. And that's where I've been brought into the men's team as their striker coach leading up to the Olympic Games. So it's a lot of technical work, a lot of principles around the circle, just outside the circle, in the 9-yard box, in the 6-yard box, and making sure that we take opportunities that come.
Yeah.
Could you score on your time a goal or two?
one or two, one or two against some pretty good goalkeepers as well.
Is this why you had to come up and join us, Tsoanelo? Because
hey man, I was trying to make a final. I was just trying to make a final and win a gold medal. It was getting harder and harder each year. I was like, hey, typical KD Brooklyn Nets, KD Warriors. If you can't beat them, join them, guys.
Looking at our men's group, like we've got the world's number one in that pool. And I think it would be naive of us to think that that is one of the games to target for points. But, we've got Canada. We didn't do enough against Canada in the World Cup. And I think that's for both teams, they would have felt that they dropped 2 points that day.
Yeah.
I think Canada felt that they could have stolen something. And we definitely look back at it and think, geez, like we could have gotten a point, and qualifying for the Olympic Games with 2 seconds left on the clock, beat the USA. I mean, that was something special. And the boys always remember that moment. Nick Spooner running almost 75, 80 yards, making the first pass, re-leading, getting behind, and making the final touch. It's something that you don't forget when you go into a competition like this, because you need those special moments, those moments that you've created. And like I keep saying, it's a game of moments. No one would have said, this is how we're going to play. You're going to pass the ball here. We're going to go there. That's just principles, heart, grit, and I always say the South African spirit is something that is never say die attitude, right?
That's going to get both teams through a lot of moments, in Tokyo, because it won't be easy.
The chance is there. The chance is there. And even the big teams, your Great Britons, on the day, they haven't been always amazing.
Yeah.
In every single match, and if you recognize few moments in those matches that you put them under the pump and you put 1 or 2 on the board and you challenge them to come harder, anything can happen on the day. And I don't think any South African athlete going to the Olympic Games will ever look at the opposition and say, oh, I'm so happy to be a participant here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think we have a heart of competitors. We look at our cricket team, our football team. We try all the time. It might not come off in the results. And again, be very excited to see what happens in Tokyo.
Yeah.
The gap between, call it Commonwealth Games now and the Olympics, obviously is going to be a lot shorter with World Cup as well. What are Coach Pholo's TP's aspirations in the future? What can we look forward to? Maybe a Commonwealth team here and there?
My golden goal in where I am right now is obviously to be an Olympic coach.
Yeah.
And by saying that, I'll go back to what I said earlier. It's like no one goes there to be just to just participate. I want to be really in a competitive setup, a program, and see where that takes me. And looking at the players that are in this country right now, oh my God, there's so much talent in South Africa, and hoping that, and now with FIH having coaching courses online for coaches and coaching courses in South Africa for coaches, I believe that if we have a better educated coaching workforce, we'll give more players an opportunity to find their feet earlier than maybe some of us did.
All right, at least you heard it first on Cash and Sports. Olympic coach, here we come.
No, but TP also at just to touch on that little point around coaching as well, just before we wrap up, you're at the coalface of seeing what the future of South African hockey looks like. How long do you think it'll take us before we really start hitting our straps in terms of competing at really high levels and start pushing these countries and start saying, okay, maybe we can get out of a pool? How long do you think that will take us with the trajectory that we're at right now?
So we're very lucky that I think literally 3 months after the Olympic Games, we will see the Junior World Cup.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the one is being hosted in South Africa, in Poch, the women's one, and the men I think are being hosted by Ghana or Namibia. But what's going to happen is, like, looking back at the team that I coached at the 2018 African Youth Games that won that, and then we were in the semifinals at the Youth Olympic Games. That is such a strong group of young women. And I'd like to see them being looked after.
Yeah.
Because the potential in that group is immense. And right now, 2 weeks ago, I was at an under-21 challenge. Obviously, under-21 provincial hockey tournament was postponed until Q4 of the year. So Free State, Northwest, and Southerns competing. And the talent there was also, and again, with little to no preparation. I took a team with, I think, 3 15-year-olds, a couple of 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and looking at what we have in this country and looking at what we have in those 3 provinces, there's so much to look forward to going forward. I just hope that we can give these athletes the necessary support, the necessary push, and allow them to feel and think like athletes, and take away the financial strain that parents and individuals have right now. And with the year that we've had with the pandemic, it hasn't made that any easier. So again, we're looking at all 4 of our national teams looking for sponsorships. I mean, like I said, thank goodness that we've got this partnership with Your Match Kit, because we've almost raised 200,000 Rand of quite a couple of million that we need, because it would be ideal for us to go to Europe about a month before the Olympic Games and get some games there. And I just think if we look after our athletes properly, we will see exactly what their potential leads to.
Well, TP, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, I mean, what a conversation! Some
could go on
some crazy insights, because I mean, you know, from a coaching perspective, you've given us a lot of gems that, you know, as people who just watch the game wouldn't actually have insight about. And you know, that throw forward into the future gives us a lot of hope for, I mean, your superstars that won silver and gold. I mean, come on, man. You know, we'll be looking forward to those games, and hopefully, you know, that Junior World Cup is, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. But yeah, thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate your time. And people can always find you on social media. I know you're on Facebook, Coach Polo, coachpolo.com, on Twitter as well, at Coach Polo. So follow Tsoanelo, get on her social media and give her support, man. She's really pushing the boundaries, you know? Yeah.
It's great to have you in the system. I know as a friend, as a former athlete with you, having you in the system is great. A coach who cares, a coach who understands the athlete, man. It's good to have you. And may your future blossom on and on, bud.
Thank you so much, guys. And I hope your platform also blossoms. You know, I think it's great for people to hear from different areas of sport, not just watching athletes do what they do. It's very important to know what goes on behind the scenes. And looking forward to you guys growing in millions and millions of views on your site.
This very episode. Thanks, TV.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys. Bye.